Hello, and welcome to the third episode of our second series of STEM Squared, a podcast that explores the educational cosmos of STEM within the context of teaching and learning. My name is Michael Hammond Todd, and I'm your host. And in the second series, we've been looking at the sun, a child's first star. And in the first episode, we looked at the sun and its importance to society. In the last episode, we explored the children's conceptions and misconceptions of the sun from the perspective of a 5, 10, and 15-year-old. And in this episode, we are going to look at exceptional STEM and how do we help children learn about the sun who see the world differently than you or I. In addition to adapting our lessons and activities related to the sun for visually diverse learners, we are going to look at other supports for children and young people who want to know more about the nature of the sun, its various forms of energy, and how the sun is an important component in society's energy system. However, before we get into the podcast itself, let's turn to the news. Welcome to our news broadcast. And in thinking about visually diverse learners, the topic for today's news is particularly relevant. In 2022, the James Webb Telescope was launched, and this is an orbiting telescope many millions of miles away from the Earth. In fact, I will link the James Webb website through NASA to the notes for this particular episode. But what makes the James Webb Telescope unique is that it is capable of observing the sun and other celestial bodies, including stars, within our galaxy and other galaxies in a broad range of visible and invisible light. And it is expected that the James Webb Telescope will provide uh, many new understandings of the universe as it formed and how it is expanding and constantly changing. In addition to information on the James Webb Telescope, I wanted to connect this podcast with a tactile book that is available for young readers to learn about the sun. And so the text is written in Braille with a lot of the images also having tactile elements to it. And so you can find information on both the James Webb Telescope and the Sun book by NASA in the story notes for this particular episode. Let's get back to the podcast. Welcome back to our podcast on exceptional STEM and the sun. Now, it was interesting to hear about the James Webb Telescope as it sees the sun in new ways. And as teachers working with visually diverse learners, there are ways that we can explore the properties of the sun through other senses. And perhaps the most important sense we can use is our skin and our sense of touch. And that is literally feeling the radiant energy from the sun. And so with your class, you can actually use your skin, as receptors, as a sensor to feel the overall heat, including the possible direction of the sun. And it would be interesting to explore uh, using our students' own skin to detect the intensity of the sunlight around them. And so some students could compare how the heat of the sun felt on clear days versus cloudy days and all those days in between. In addition to uh, the use of skin and radiant heat, it is possible to use a solar toy or a solar buzzer that allows students to direct a small solar panel towards the sun to detect the general direction of the sun. And throughout the day, students who see the sun differently were interested in learning how technology can be used to find and measure the direction of the sun. Can use simple solar toys or buzzers to point a solar panel that then energizes the sound or the toy. As I mentioned in the news segment, NASA has also published a book in Braille related to the sun with many tactile elements to it. And this illuminates the value of models. And so we can create or use a model of the sun to show not only its position within the solar system, but it's some of its properties as a star. Here it's important to be aware of the fact that many of the most common and popular commercially made models misrepresent scale as it relates to the solar system. And so while a commercially made three-dimensional model of the solar system may be a great first place to start, as the student gets older and understands greater distances, it is like any other student. There are ways to it really show the scale of distance as it relates to the sun and its planets within the solar system. And the other fun element that children, especially our exceptionally diverse learners, can create and imagine what planets may orbit other solar systems. And in our learning activities, we can encourage them to construct three-dimensional models or tactile models of solar systems that they might imagine in other parts of our galaxy or the universe. Like other subjects, it is important to provide audio support for our visually diverse learners and resources that enable them to continue to engage, read about, and learn about the property of stars and the various forms of energy that they can provide. Exceptional STEM practices also include activities whereby students can uh, uh, experiment with and construct uh, vehicles, toys, buildings that may be powered by small solar panels um, and tested by the student working independently with peers or under the guidance of a teacher. With the overall goal in exceptional STEM as it relates to the sun and other stars is a better understanding and comprehension of the unique properties of the sun and its role in energy systems both in the past, present, and future, as we presented in episodes 1 and 2. In the next episode, we are going to be looking at multicultural STEM and the cultural context of the sun and how it is celebrated and understood the world over. And so, as we wind down the third episode on exceptional STEM, let us know if you have any questions or comments. Feel free to send us an email at stemsquared@gmail.com, and we will see you in episode 4 on the multicultural nature of our sun.